can you give that a few more rounds? And then we'll be ready to go. Words attributed to Unitarian Francis David. You need not think alike to love alike. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. Being rooted in love, we believe that all human beings should be treated with dignity and respect. On this hill, we seek hope, love, and justice together in community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, in whatever your life circumstances, you are welcome here. I invite you at this time to rise and embody your spirit as we sing our hymn to welcome. It is our tradition at this church to light a chalice at the beginning of each service, and we say these words together. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. You may be seated. For invocation, I say these words by Tess Baumgartner. This place would be less beautiful without you. Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Jew, Hindu, humanist, and earth center too. This place would be less beautiful without you, your heart honed by hardship, grief, illness, seeking solace and comfort here among us. This place would be less beautiful without you, filled with joy and gratitude, seeking celebration of life's bounty. This place would be less beautiful without you, curious, inquisitive, asking questions, seeking transformations, emerging from within. This place would be less beautiful without you, striving to resist a world that tells us we are so much less than we can truly be. This place would be less beautiful without each of us, born here in this morning to seek heaven's fire, in each other's souls, our own flames rise to meet. Let's say our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this church. Service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And at this time, I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, as you feel called, as we sing this song inspired by the words of Rumi, "Come, come, whomever you are." Come, come.
Today. First of all, the ice cream social is this week. It's on Thursday at 6:15. Ice cream will be provided. Bring the condiment of your choosing to share with everybody. There's a sign up on the cookie table. So check it out and see you on Thursday. And then I have a save the date note, one of our most fun events for me, because not only do you get to buy stuff, you get to sit around and have really good food, and that is the auction. It will be November the 9th, Saturday, and put it on your calendar, and there'll be more to follow. And also, you better hurry if you want to sign up for Feed the Homeless. There's a sign-up sheet out on the cookie table. It's for serving only, and what we do is we meet here to load up or down at the Feed the Homeless station to serve, and it takes about an hour. It's the nicest thing you'll do for yourself and for others. It takes about an hour, and that's all. So please do that. And then finally, on August the 14th, Wednesday at 4 o'clock at All Souls will be a celebration of the life of George Crumey. And in case you don't know, he is someone who was very generous to this congregation. The piano, the road, many, many other things. So if you can go, that would be wonderful to celebrate his life. And now Larry Vanderveer has something to tell you about action.
Good morning. I want to tell all of you, and I know all of you weren't there, but the last plea that Gail and I made for you to participate in our accountability session for mayor, Hope had probably more people show up than any other of our institutions. We had 25, I believe. So those of you who went, please raise your hand. Now do this to yourself. Thank you very much. No, we had 559 in attendance. It was standing room only. And someone told me after going, they said, I know who I'm voting for. So that's the whole purpose, is to inform you. But we're not done. We have Souls to the Polls, and it is on Saturday, August the 24th at 10. It's early voting. We're meeting at 10 o'clock that Saturday morning and voting as a group, and it's at the County Election Board, which is on North Denver. If you go to Feed the Homeless, instead of turning left on that street, just keep going a little way, go under the underpass, and the County Election Board is on your right. Thank you.
This meditation is called That Which Holds All by Nancy Schaefer. Because she wanted everyone to feel included in her prayer, she said right at the beginning several names for the holy. Spirit, she said, Holy One, Mystery, God. But then, thinking these weren't enough ways of addressing that which cannot be fully addressed, she added particularities, saying, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Ancient Holy One, Mystery we will never fully know, Gracious God, and also Spirit of this earth, God of Sarah, Gaia, Thou. And then, tongue loosened, she fell to naming superlatives as well. Most creative one, greatest source, closest hope. Even though superlatives for sacred seemed to her probably redundant, but then she couldn't stop. One who made the stars, she said, although she knew technically a number of those present did not believe that the stars had been made by anyone or a thing, but just luckily happened. One who is an entire ocean of compassion, she said, and no one laughed. That which has been present since before the beginning, she said, in the room was silent. Then, although she hadn't imagined it this way, others began to offer names. Peace, said one. One my mother knew, said another. Ancestor, said a third. Wind, rain, breath, said one near the back. Refuge, that which holds all. A child said, water. Someone said, Kuan Yin. Then, womb, witness, great kindness, great eagle, eternal stillness. And then there wasn't any need to say the things she'd thought would be important to say. And everyone sat hushed until someone said, Amen.
The Sacred Hoop, Black Elk. Then I was standing on the highest mountain of them all, and round about beneath me was the whole hoop of the world. And while I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw, for I was seeing in a sacred manner the shape of all things in the Spirit, and the shape of all things as they must be live together like one being. And I saw that the sacred hoop of my people was one of the many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to the shelter of all the children of one mother and one father. And I saw that it was holy.
So I should just start my sermon then.
Yes, please.
Have you ever watched dominoes fall? When I was a child, I didn't really know what dominoes were for, other than falling. I didn't know you could play a game with them. I thought the purpose of the domino was to be set next to another domino in series and then fall. To this day, I love watching dominoes fall. I have seen video after video of Rube Goldberg-esque machines that use all sorts of chain reactions, and they generally use dominoes. So much potential is built up in series, so much energy just waiting for a chain reaction. A trail of dominoes is a great example of stored potential energy. I once saw a video of a domino set that had increasingly larger dominoes until the final domino was massive, as large as 3 people. But even it fell. It reminded me that it doesn't always take something very large to cause a chain reaction. A political leader, seen as the face of an unpopular war, decides he would lean on the religious right for a victory, preaching family values, anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, and anti-choice talking points. The leader would go on to lay the groundwork for the fall of the larger dominoes in years to come. But that doesn't mean he was the first domino. The first domino wasn't even laid by his predecessors or his father. The first domino was laid generations earlier, but even then, those dominoes lay forgotten. Just as the long arc of history bends towards justice, the distance that arc travels is lost to the eyes. And while we traverse this arc, dominoes fall in multiple directions. You know, my favorite domino falls involve splitting of lines. Like mazes, these dominoes divide left and right, again left and right, and then again left and right, and they continue to fall. And as they fall, we must remember their purpose was to fall. The UUA, in identifying its core values, found near the heart of the matter the idea of pluralism, saying that we celebrate that we are all sacred beings. Diverse in culture, experience, and theology, we covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Pluralism drives us to embrace our differences and our commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and most of all, we celebrate that we are all sacred and diverse in experience and in theology. Ibn Patel says, religious pluralism is neither the mere coexistence nor forced consensus. It's a form of proactive cooperation that affirms the identity of the constituent communities while emphasizing the well-being of each and all depends on the health of the whole. It is the belief that the common good is best served when each community has a chance to make its unique contribution. Pluralists, as we are, stand in opposition to what he calls religious totalitarianism. He defines them as anyone who demands that there is only one correct interpretation. And if you don't follow that interpretation, you deserve to be punished. They are driven thematically through culture, promoting the idea that they are the norm, the standard, the correct. And there's only one way, and it is the way of the religious totalitarian. These totalitarians thrive in many cultures, including ours. But here we don't call them religious totalitarians, we call them Christian nationalists. And though you cannot see it in my script, I have put the word Christian in parentheses. because there is little about Christian nationalism that is traditionally or historically Christian. Andrew Whitehead says this: to be Christian, and to be Christian is to be American. And this belief system is not a well-reasoned theology, but simply a justification for political power. Whitehead goes on to say, Christian nationalism idealizes a mythic society in which real Americans, white native-born, mostly Protestant, maintain control over access to society, social culture, and political institutions, and others remain in their proper place. It therefore seeks strong boundaries to separate us from them, preserving privilege for the rightful recipients while equating racial and religious outsiders with criminality, violence, and inferiority. See, for a Christian nationalist, the Constitution is a divinely inspired document, not quite equal but close to the Bible, which leads them often to viewing the Bible as viewing the Bible and the Constitution as inerrant, to be perfected without error. So when we begin a conversation about gun control, its canonization in the Bill of Rights makes the owning of the firearm sacrosanct. For the Christian nationalist, shootings don't happen because access to guns, but because we took prayer out of school. Being a Christian nation means that they, and this is being a Christian nation to them, means that they have the right to be here no matter how they came to power or who they hurt in the process. This is promised land from God. Christian, then, in this context, is a signifier, not for welcome, but a special dispensation given to a certain class of people until the words American and Christian become synonymous, which I continue to say is not traditionally Christian. I believe that distinction is important because you may be, or you may have family that is, or you may know someone who is a Christian and not at the same time a Christian nationalist. Because while Christian scripture calls to love the outsider, welcome the immigrant, and feed the hungry, Christian nationalism definitely does not. Which is why Thomas Jefferson said in his letter to the Danbury Baptists, I contemplate with sovereign reverence the act of the whole American people which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting the establishment of religion or promoting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall between the separation of church and state. His statement was not simply about protecting government from religious institutions, but protecting religious institutions from government. Because without the first part, when government makes no law respecting an establishment of religion, we cannot have the second part, where government cannot prohibit the free exercise thereof. To have one without the other is to have neither. What this means is that, like Unitarian Universalism, democracy is pluralistic. And crossing the wall between church and state harms both church and state, because being part of a democracy has nothing to do with being the member of a religion. Oh, religious people can take part in a democracy. We do. Their faith can access or can act as a guide, which it does, as long as the separation of power from the First Amendment is maintained. Which is why it struck many of us strange when the school superintendent, Ryan Walters, sent this memo. Effective immediately, all Oklahoma schools are required to incorporate the Bible, which includes the Ten Commandments, as an instructional support. Then saying every teacher in every classroom in the state will have a Bible in their classroom and will teach from the Bible. But see, this is not new information for us in Tulsa. In fact, I'm a month and a half late in bringing it here to the pulpit. By this time, most UUs in Oklahoma know about this. I assume most of you do too. In the weeks that followed, many school districts, in quoting state law, said, no, we won't do that. In fact, many districts pointed out that the Bible itself has been taught as a historic document for many years. When I was in school in West Virginia, we read from the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Code of Hammurabi, the Ten Commandments, and etc. It is a historic book that has, as far as I know, always been used in the American school system, but has never been central to the American school system. So then what's the point of this mandate, especially a mandate that overreaches to the point that many school systems have come out and said, we can't follow this mandate because it conflicts with state law? What's important to remember is that this is just another domino. And the point isn't necessarily for mandates like this to stick. That's not the point. When it comes to religious totalitarianism and Christian nationalism, the idea has always been, let's throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. This mandate from Walters came on the heels of a Supreme Court decision in Louisiana that requires all schools to have an image of the Ten Commandments in each classroom, and on the heels of the Oklahoma Supreme Court blocking funding for St. Isidore of Seville Catholic School in Oklahoma, which would have been the first publicly funded religious private school in the nation. This also comes a short number of months after the death of Next Benedict, which resulted in some of the most heinous response from various Oklahoma political leaders, like Tom Woods, who would say, we are a religious state and we're going to fight to keep that filth out of the state of Oklahoma because we are a Christian state. In a state legislative session that offered nearly 50 anti-LGBTQ bills. So as we watch the dominoes fall, how do we respond? And it brings me back to the UUA's definition of pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. So, first, we celebrate each other in their diversity. We celebrate those who practice faith differently than we do. And with UUs, that means that people who practice faith differently might be sitting next to you in this room. But we also celebrate cultural diversity, and we celebrate different experiences. Then we covenant not just to get along, but to learn from one another. In their diversity, experience, and practices, we agree to walk with those who are different and willing to walk with us. Our free and responsible search for truth and meaning in this relationship with others. We do not search in isolation. We search for truth together. We embrace our differences and commonalities. Oh, this doesn't mean that we incorporate everything that would be impossible. What it means is that we take seriously the differences and find a way to hold them in tension with ours. Knowing that we will never fully know another perspective, but we can treat them with love and respect anyway. What it comes down to is that we know we are different from one another and that none of us have a monopoly on faith. And because of that, we have to give space for these differences. As UUs, we embrace and celebrate these differences because they are what make us better. Larry, what else can we do? Souls to the polls. Unitarian Universalists respect democracy, though I would never tell you who to vote for. what I will say is that part of what it means to be Unitarian Universalist is to vote, is to be committed to that process, to that democratic process. How do we fight the wave? How do we stop the dominoes from falling? Part of it's how we treat one another, and part of it is how we act together. Over 600 people came to listen to the mayoral candidates, not even debate. All they asked was, will you do these basic things with us? Will you work with us? And each one said yes, in their own different ways. The people hold the power in a democracy. The people hold the ability to say, no, we will not do it that way. The people have the authority to vote our principles and our hope and our dreams for the future. See, I like Patel's phrase when it comes to what he defines pluralism as. He calls it proactive cooperation. It's not passive cooperation. It's not, oh, there's someone of a different faith, I should accept them. It's, oh, there's someone who understands something I don't, I should learn from them. See, embracing someone is caring about their well-being, even when it isn't ours. So I invite you this morning, make sure that you are registered, to make sure that you are still on the polls, and to vote your conscience. Because to be a pluralist is to be democratic. Be democratic is to be pluralist. To be UU is to vote. Thank you. At this time, what we'll go ahead and do is invite you to our generosity recipient. I'll go ahead and tell you about our generosity recipient at this time, as soon as I take a drink of water. Our generosity recipient this month is Youth at Heart. And if you would like to donate to our generosity recipient, I invite you at this time to, if you're writing a check, write generosity in the memo line. If you're putting in cash, all cash donations go to the generosity recipient. But this is another opportunity for you also to donate to the church. Unnoted checks will go towards your pledge or towards the general fund. And I ask that you would give with hope for the future so that we may continue getting our message out to the world around us. Don't be afraid of the dark. The end is the golden, and the faith still was And we give thanks for our offering. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. Our final hymn today will be hymn number 131 in your gray hymnal. That is, Love Will Guide Us, and I invite you to rise and body your spirit as you feel so called. Love will guide us. So let's extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. In words of benediction, pluralism and democracy go hand in hand. So let's work to build the best democracy we can, and go vote.